Welcome. Good afternoon, or is this evening? Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to our session. We know some of you are here with us in Zoom and some of you are watching from outside. Before we begin, we just wanted to see how you're doing in our Q session. If you could take a minute, if you haven't already, to draw or type any aha moments so far from this Q conference. We'll just take about 30 seconds to do this. And if you don't know how to do it, at the very top, you click on View Options and you click on Annotate, and then you can use any of those tools to type in or write anything in, any aha moments from the Q conference so far. And we'll begin just a few short seconds after that.
And again, if you cannot use the annotation tool, you can put it on the chat too.
Thank you. All right, Ricardo, I'm gonna go ahead and move on just for the sake of time, if that's fine with you.
Sure. Let's go ahead and start.
Thank you. All right, everyone. So, Mr. Sims, if you can clear my annotations there, that would be great. All right, so we wanted to see where everyone is in their proficiency level with pushing grades from Canvas to Aeries. I know most of us are probably outside of this Zoom, so we'll just get a feel for those of us who are here with us right now. You can go ahead and use your annotation tool here, or just simply put it in the chat, which is fine. How proficient are you with pushing grades? Are you a beginner, intermediate, or advanced? Just so we can kind of tailor this training to meet your needs. All right. Okay, I think we have one or two advanced in here. So if you want to chime in at any time, please feel free. All right, so we're going to go ahead and begin. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. This session is called Aeries Systematic Canvas Grade Passback, which is just a fancy phrase for getting your grades to sync from Canvas to Aeries. And my name is Teresa Castro.
And I am Ricardo Recinos.
And we are technology teachers, or Tectoses, from Hacienda La Puente Unified School District.
So before we start, we wanted to make sure that we provide some resources for you. And the easiest way to get to the resource is by using the QR code that is right here. But we have also created a bit.ly that you can use, and we'll throw this in the chat right now. Let me go ahead and do that so you can access that resource, okay? So that should be on the chat. And if you click on it, and I'll give you a second to do that, it should take you into a Canvas resource page that we have created for you. In here, you will be able to find our presentation for today that we are using. So we are providing that for you. Also, for our district, we've had the chance to do this same training for all grade levels. And the recording is available right here. We've also done it specifically for our K through 2. And I say specifically because when we talk about our district, we talk about standard-based grading. So there are a little bit of different steps that you have to follow. So you do have the recording right here. We've also done the training for 3 to 5, and that is also included in here. So please feel free to use that. In addition, we do have a page with resources that are clickable. You can just click and find support in case you have any issues when it comes to syncing grades between Canvas and Aeries. Finally, our contact info is right here. You have our email addresses right here. Please feel free to reach out. You have our social media. We are 2 out of 5 Tectosas from Hacienda La Puente under Dr. Helene Cunningham and our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Judy Fancher. Go ahead, Teresa.
Thank you. So let's go ahead and get started. So before we get going, we just want to establish our purpose for this session. And our purpose is to learn how to sync grades from Canvas to Aeries. And we're also going to explore tips to make grade passback work more seamlessly. And we've done it this whole year successfully. And so we're going to share some troubleshooting tricks to make things work. And we also want to be clear about our non-purpose here. We do not expect you to become grade passback pros by the end of this training. And we don't want you to think that this is the only way. This is how we got it to work for our district. Of course, we all have our own needs. This works for us, but don't think that this is the only way to do things. So as we go through things in our session, we're going to be talking about essentials and recommendations. Essential means that These things need to happen in order for the grade passback to work successfully. These must happen. These are essential. And our recommendations are things that help to make sure your grades actually match between Canvas and Aeries, but they're not essential. They will still push, but your grades might not match exactly, especially when it comes to total grading. So let me just talk about the essentials a little bit. We're going to talk about how to properly name Canvas groups and Aeries categories. We're going to discuss setting up assignments to be sent to SIS, how to sync grades from Canvas to Aeries. We'll actually go through the steps with you. We'll talk about some troubleshooting items that we've seen through the year and things that we've done to solve those problems to make it work. Okay. And again, here are recommendations, things that are not necessary, but we highly, highly suggest them so that when your parents or when your students go in, the grades actually match on both platforms. So setting up grading terms. This is something we're going to remind our district as we get ready for the next school year, but something for you to gear up for the next school year as well. Try your best to set up your grading terms in Canvas to match in Aeries so that the grades are seamless and they match between the two. We'll talk more about that later. Enable grading schemes as well so that they match. Weighted grades. If you are going to weight grades, you're going to want to do them both areas. Assignment names as well, applying standards, updating grades, and changing due dates.
Yes, I think you're going to hear us say consistent a lot today, or consistency, yes. Because we do want to make sure that the grades on Canvas reflect the same grades on Aeries. You don't want to have a parent that is coming to you and saying, well, my kid has an A in Canvas while my kid has a B or a C in Aeries. So consistency between the two platforms is going to be a key today.
Absolutely.
And as we talk about what needs to be done, one of the main points that we need to see is that in Aeries, when you create your categories or your gradebooks and you create your categories, they must match what we call groups in Canvas. Okay, so when we go into the platform, you're going to see us as we create a gradebook. And when we get to the assignments or the categories and we create the different categories, you're going to see that our categories in Aeries gradebook are going to match our Canvas groups. So remember, in Aeries, they're called categories. In Canvas, they're called groups. And just to give you an example, you can see how they match exactly. They don't have to be in the same order, but they do have to match, okay? So that's kind of a key that you must have, an essential. In addition, there are some requirements when you create an assignment. And we're going to go through that. We're going to make sure that the sync to SIS is checked. We're going to make sure that we have a due date for the assignments. We're going to make sure that it is assigned to all. And for those teachers that are cross-listing in Canvas, we'll talk about how you do have to assign to an entire period in case you may be meeting period 1 on Monday and period 2 on Tuesday. So you do have a different due date, how you can still assign by period and the syncing is still going to work for us. Okay, that's going to be a big part of it. We're also are going to see, again, when we create the assignment, we're going to show you how to create an assignment, how to add the assignment, how to edit the assignments, how to sync to SIS, how to save the assignment, and any errors that you might see when you are creating these assignments. Again, we're going to go through this in the actual platform. We just want to give you an overview of what's going to happen. And then finally, when we are ready to sync, we're going to go in our course navigation to grades, and we're going to show you exactly the steps that you need to take to be successful in syncing the grades between the two platforms. And along the way, I think Teresa mentioned this, we have found a lot of issues and we've been able to troubleshoot them, and we're gonna give you best practices when it comes to the way you set up grades. We'll talk about linking grades in Aeries. We'll talk about cross-listed courses. We'll talk about best practices when you sync to your SIS, how sometimes your names for assignments shouldn't be that long. And we'll finally talk about remastering grade passback, which is probably the best way to make sure that everything is working correctly. And we'll see that too. So let's go ahead and get down to business. Before we do that, Teresa is going to talk about our Padlet for today.
Sure. So we're going to go ahead and throw in a link in the chat right now, which brings you to our Padlet. And the reason why we love this Padlet is because we could always revisit this even after our session. So I think the link is already there, so feel free to join. And then Ricardo's going to go ahead and show us what the Padlet looks like. So our first column in the Padlet is aha moments from our session. So if there's anything new, exciting that you learned that you want to try, please feel free to add them here. It's always great to see. The next column is questions. So if you have any questions, put them here. And throughout our session, and we even see some of our team members in here, they might come in and answer some of those questions on the spot for you, which would be great. And the last one is great because we can share suggestions and resources. We know some of you here are already using this, so you can suggest your resources, but we've already started off by adding our own link to our resources that we shared with you earlier. And just so you know, if you stay with us to the very end, we're going to have a fun game, and we might even have some giveaways depending on how many of us are in here right now, which Ricardo will show you in a moment.
So yes, thank you, Teresa. So we're going to go ahead and go into the platforms now. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Aeries. So I'm a teacher starting the year, and I'm getting ready to create my gradebooks. There is different ways to create gradebooks. A lot of our teachers like to just go to add a gradebook, and we'll show you how to do it that way. Some teachers like to just go to mass add gradebooks to just create, especially high school teachers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 periods, or a lot of our teachers at Hacienda La Puente like to just copy gradebooks because they can just click on here and go to the prior year in here and select the gradebook they want to bring in, okay? So once they do that, they can just select the grades they want to bring in. And at the bottom, they have some options. We always tell our teachers that it's best practice to take the final marks. You might want to take the gradebook options so they don't change. And if you are going to keep the same categories that you are going to be using in the Aeries gradebook, also in Canvas, then you might want to bring this in. But if you're starting fresh with new categories, you might not want to bring this in. And something that we do suggest that you do not bring in is gradebook assignments, because all of the assignments are going to be created in Canvas now. In the past, as a teacher, high school teacher, I will have to create the assignment in my first period, and the shell will be built in second and third period, and I will be able to put the scores in. Now that is no longer required because the assignments are going to come directly from Canvas into Aeries. Okay, so let's make sure that we do remember that. So let's go ahead and create a gradebook. I'm going to go in here and create a gradebook. And for this particular one, I'm a high school teacher, so I'm going to go in here and create a gradebook that is going to help me for the fall and the spring, okay? And I know for elementary, this will look a little bit different, and Teresa's going to talk about that right now.
So this is the grading terms that we were discussing earlier, which is highly suggested for you to set up properly at the beginning of the year. For our school district, if you're elementary, you simply see trimester 1, 2, 3, or if you're 6 through 12, you just see the 2 semesters. But this is a great demonstration that has all different types of grading terms in here. So if these are truly your grading terms in Aeries, when you set up your Canvas, make sure that you also have those grading terms in Canvas as well, so that and that includes the dates and the cutoffs as well, so that when you are syncing grades, it really does match because it goes in the right place. So Ricardo's also showing us in Canvas how you can filter through the grading period. So if that's not set up properly, you won't be able to filter. And also when you push, the grades might not match. So that's why.
And again, going back to that consistency, if you do not have those grading terms in Canvas, you're going to have this long gradebook for the whole year, and your grades of fall and spring or trimester 1, 2, and 3 are going to be together, and you're not going to have it match to your gradebook in Aeries. So that is the big reason why you do want to have these grading terms enabled. Okay, so once that we have selected fall and spring, I'm going to make sure that I associate a course with this class, and I'm going to give it a name. And for this particular one, I'm just going to call it 5th grade core, and I'm going to save it. Once I save my gradebook, what's going to happen is that it's going to give me some choices, okay? And there are 3 things that we must remember when we do this, okay? The first one, and we had this issue happen at our district, we, as teachers, created our gradebook, we created our categories, and the categories match the groups in Canvas. We created assignments in Canvas, we graded, we pushed, and we forgot to add our students to our gradebook in Aeries. So even though everything was set up correctly, our grades did not push correctly. We had no students in the gradebook to get those grades in, okay? So make sure that you always add your students in here. Do you have any best practices, Teresa, when it comes to adding the students?
Yeah, just another tip. If you like kids to be added and dropped automatically without doing it manually, in the options tab, Ricardo, if you scroll down a little bit, there's add drop students automatically. So if you click on that, then when students leave you or when they come, it's automatic. So you don't have to manually bring them in or drop them. So just another tip.
So remember to add your students. So now that we've done that, we're ready to create our categories, okay? So I'm going to go into my gradebook and I want to create a category. And for today, I'm just going to add homework, okay? And I'm going to save it. I can also give it a color if I want to. So let's just give it one. And I'm going to add also, oh, I should have added another category. I'm sorry, let's add another category and let's add tests.
So don't forget to hit save.
And the reason why I hit save is because our teachers will go ahead and add all the categories and then they'll forget to hit save. And if they don't forget to hit save, it's not going to remember the categories they created. So I think it's just, you know, I'm kind of traumatized by that. So I hit save every time. So let me click and hit save again. So we have our categories there. So now we have our categories created. And what we want to do is we want to go to our Canvas course. Okay, and I'm going to go to the course navigation in Canvas, okay? And the way you create groups, which again are categories and areas, they're called groups in Canvas, is that you go to assignments. And when you go to assignments, up here, you have the option to create groups. So let me go ahead and click on groups. And I'm going to create, again, homework. Let's save. So now I have my homework and let's create, I think I called it tests. And I don't know if I put an S or not, but let's put an S right now and compare. So let's call them tests, and I'm going to compare, and it is correct. If I would have missed the S on my Canvas groups, this would have now worked. So they have to match and be exactly the same, okay? You might notice that I have a group already here called imported assignments. A lot of our teachers are bringing resources from Commons, or they're bringing resources from another course, from their sandbox. So Canvas automatically creates this particular category, but we do not need it, and we're not gonna use it when it comes to syncing the grades between the two. Just to give you an example of what this should look like for this to be successful, here is a teacher from Hacienda La Puente, and you can see that we have assignments, quiz, exam, audio, speaking, participation in her Canvas groups. And if we go to her gradebook, you will see that she has the exact same categories. Something you might notice is that this teacher decided to do weighted scoring. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. That's completely up to you. In high school, we do, but she decided to do this and she gave percentages for each of them. So let's go back over here and do the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and click and do 50, and I'll do 50. And let's go ahead and save. So again, if we want our grades to be the same in Aeries and in Canvas, I want to make sure, again, this is not essential, but it's a best practice, that when I create my groups over here, I also add weighted scores. The way I would do that is that I can come all the way to the right to the snowman or the three dots. You can click on it and you can say assignment group weights. And I can click on that. And now I'm going to say that I want to add them. And now I can do the same thing. I can do 50, and I can do 50, and let's go ahead and save. And now our grades are going to match. They look exactly the same, okay? So that's something that we do want to make sure that we have set up correctly. In addition, something that is not essential, but we think creates consistency is when we talk about final marks, okay? So by default, Aeries gives you this final marks over here. A lot of our teachers come in here and change them depending on what grade level they teach. You will notice when Teresa talks about it, she's going to talk about 4, 3, 2, 1 for the different type of gradings that they do. So we want to make sure that this matches over here, because notice that in Aeries right now we have 98 to 100 and A+, okay? But if I go to Canvas, I'm going to go to Canvas, and over here on our course navigation, I can come to the bottom, all the way to settings, and I want to make sure, again, this is not essential, that I enable course grade scheme. So again, in Aeries it's called final marks, in Canvas it's called grading scheme. So we're going to enable it, and we're going to set that grading scheme. By default, Aeries gives you one that does not look anything like the one on Aeries. So you want to go ahead and modify it to keep consistency, okay? I can come and hit on the pencil. And notice that if I go back, I had 98 to 100 for an A+. So I don't have an A+ right here, but I can come on top of the A and say insert here and add A plus, sorry, A plus. And now I know that it went to 98. I'm going to click there and I'm going to go to 98 and just click outside. And now my grades 100 to 98 is A plus, and now they are matching. If I needed to delete any of the different scales over here, I can just come to the right and click on the X and delete that. And I know I'm going to have Teresa go ahead and spend some time talking about standard-based grading. So I'll stop sharing and she'll share. You're muted.
I wasn't ready. Okay, let me share a screen with you right now. So this looks very familiar because Ricardo just went over it right now. Ricardo, let me check. Is my internet good? Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so here we are in the grading scheme. So this is elementary. So if you notice, this teacher, they took 4, 3, 2, 1, and then correlated it with the correct percentages. And they did that like what Ricardo said with the pencil, and they just went through and deleted the ones they didn't need, and they changed it to 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I'm not going to take you through those steps because he just did right now. And then when I go into their grade book, into their final marks, it matches right here. So they had to zero everything out. They zeroed out every single box, and they found the 4, 3, 2, 1, and they put the percentages in here as well. And another tool that we've given our teachers to help them as they did this is we gave them a recommended final marks guide. So this is their guide right now. So K through 2. This is just the district suggested guide. So 4, 3, 2, 1, here are the percentages. 3 through 5, they do have the letter grades, but it's a little bit different. Okay, we even have TK down here. And then the next page shows them how to do it into Canvas because it flips them. So it just helps to kind of see it visually this way. So that would be the difference for our elementary.
Thank you, Teresa. Let me go ahead and share back again. So let's go back. So now we have created our categories in Aeries and our groups in Canvas. We have created our final marks and they are matching our grading scheme in Canvas. So now we are ready to create an assignment in Canvas. So a lot of our teachers have preferences, how they like to create assignments. There's many ways of doing that. I could come in here, and a lot of our teachers work out of modules. They click on modules, and when they go there, they have the ability to create an assignment by just going to the module they're using and going plus and creating a brand new assignment. Okay, so a lot of our teachers do that. Some of our teachers, though, decide to just go under assignments where we were before, where our groups are. So I'm going to do it from assignments. Okay, so we're in here, and hopefully, there it goes. And now we're going to go to the right, and I'm going to create a new assignment. Let me go ahead and click on it. Okay, it's going to create the assignment for us. Let's go ahead and give it an assignment name, and let's just call it delete this one so I remember. So this is our assignment. In here, the teachers can give directions on what they want the students to do. They might use the recording tool to record themselves and use the video to give directions too if they want to. Completely up to them. Okay, they give the points for the assignment. So let's make this assignment worth 10 points. That's something that I must remind you of, that in order to sync an assignment from Canvas into Aeries, it must be something that is gradable. Okay, in Canvas, that is a discussion. So you could send a discussion assignment from Canvas into Aeries. That is an assignment like the one I'm doing right now, and that also includes any quizzes. Whether it be a new quiz or a classic quiz, that is something that you can send from Canvas into Aeries. Now, some teachers love to use pages. That will be something that is not gradable, and it wouldn't be able to sync between the two platforms. But again, we are on an assignment right now. So we have a name, we've added points. Remember, we created groups. So I'm just going to pick a group. So let's say that this one is just participation for me. That works. Okay. We have display grades as points. We're fine. And this submission type is online. Our teachers have the option to use online or external tools. But for this particular one, I'm going to allow my students to use text entry, website URL, media recording, and file upload. And why do I do this? I believe, and this is just my personal belief, that a student can show me mastery of something in many different ways. It doesn't have to be an essay. It doesn't have to be a presentation. They could do it in many different ways. And this way, by doing this, I allow choice. They can show me mastery in whichever way they want. So I'm going to go down. Again, that's not necessary, but something that is necessary, again, right here, sync to SIS. You have to make sure that this is clicked and enabled. Now, at our district, our Canvas admin team has set this to default to always sync to SIS. It is not set by default, so you might want to tell your Canvas admin team to set this up if you want to send everything that you create in Canvas into Aeries. But you don't have to have it on. And let's say that you have an assignment that you just want to use in Canvas, but you don't want to sync, you could unclick it. But what's going to happen is that now your grades are not going to be consistent, right? So if you decide not to send something to Aeries, what you can do is you can go up here and tell it, do not count this assignment towards the final grade. So now it's not counting in your gradebook in Canvas, and it's not counting in your gradebook in Aeries, okay? But we do want this one to be syncing. So we're going to make sure that the SIS is there. That's required. Another requirement is that when you assign, by default, you assign to everyone. But I think I mentioned to you that sometimes you might have teachers that teach different periods, okay? Different times. So you can come in here and just assign to period 1 if I wanted to, and I'm kind of hiding it. Here we go. So period 1, and I can give it a due date if I want to. Actually, I do want to give it a due date. So this is due the 26th, that's a must. And some of our teachers do use the until date. And when they do that, what they do is they want the students to have time to make up this assignment or to do this assignment. So they'll go ahead and give an until date until the end of the semester. Some of them do that, or some of them do the due date and the until date to match. But for me, I'm just gonna make it do the end of the semester for spring, okay? So I decided to do that, and that's Spanish 1. And if I wanted to add, that's Spanish 1 for period, but if I wanted to add second period, I can come in here and do add and do the same thing. Click on it and find it right here, and add a due date again and an until date. And now I'm ready to publish and save. So let's go ahead and save and publish this assignment.
So real quick, Ricardo, as you're doing that, just keep in mind that the until date that you choose, that's how it knows what term to put it in. So since you have your term set up with date cutoffs, it's going to follow the until date. So if your until date is the end of the year, even though it was due in the fall, it's going to push it to the spring term when you view it. So just be aware, it's following the until date.
That's a great point. Before we set up our grading terms, we had teachers that did not have a until date and they didn't know what to do with them. So so make sure that you do follow those grading terms. Okay, so we are ready. So we put it in here. So now we're gonna go ahead and do a due date, because you do need a due date, like I said, and let's go ahead and save and publish. And here is our assignment ready to go. So as a teacher, my students went in here, my fourth period and my second period, they completed the assignment. So now I'm ready to grade it. So I'm going to go to SpeedGrader. This is how we grade assignments. It's going to open a brand new window for me. And here I will see my students' submission, and I have the ability to give them a grade. So let's give the student a 10. I have the ability to assign comments in here. I have the ability to insert comments if I wanted to, because I set it up like that. And now that I'm done grading it, I'm going to submit, and that student is getting a grade. So I graded my assignments and I've done it all, and I'm ready now to send those grades in, okay? So what we're going to do is, now that I've graded, I want to go to my course navigation and I want to go to grades. When I go to grades in here, notice this is what Teresa was talking about. We have our grading terms, spring and fall. We're only looking at spring right now. And in here, I'm ready to push grades. So I want to go over here and I want to look for actions. When I go to actions, I'm going to click on it. Okay. And I'm going to select sync to grade passback service. So I'm going to click there. By default, again, Canvas is trying to send all of the grades for the whole gradebook. Okay. Remember, we set up grading terms. So Aeries knows that when they get sent based on the dates, they're going to go to the fall or the spring gradebook, or if we're doing trimester, it's going to go to trimester 1, trimester 2, or trimester 3. But by default, Canvas wants to send all of the assignments for the school year, okay? Some of our teachers, what they do is they actually go in here and they click assignment name, and everything gets unclicked now, and they just select the grades that they want to send, okay? So for this particular demonstration, I'm going to pick number 25 and number 27, okay? Let's go ahead and send those, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click Post Gradebook. In a second, we'll show you how you can get rid of all of these assignments from fall term so that you don't see them every time, okay? So let's go ahead and post grades. We've had the question before by many of our teachers, how do we send a grade that has already been sent again? in order to send a grade from Canvas to Aeries, you must change at least one grade of a student for it to resync again, okay? So just so be aware of that, okay? So we have sent it. We're gonna go to click to see progress. And then here, it's going to show you the progress of your syncing. So notice that this particular teacher sent some assignments before, and notice that she had no errors. When we first started doing this, a lot of our teachers were getting errors. We have gotten so efficient with this. Our teachers have done such a great job at setting up their gradebooks and their Canvas grades that now we are not seeing a lot of those. The first time you do it, the first time that Canvas establishes that connection with Aeries, is going to take a while. It goes through 9 steps. Once the step 1 gets through, you'll see that it's going to go really, really fast. So while we wait for it to actually sync, I'm going to go back to my gradebook just to show you. Okay, and I'm going to go to dashboard. And what I want you to see is that when we go to this particular gradebook, which is what we're syncing to right now, and I go to assignments, you actually can see which assignments have been sent directly from Canvas to Aeries. Because when I go to this particular assignment, notice how it tells you imported from Canvas. And our teachers have the ability to see the link. If I click on this link right here from Aeries, it will directly take me into Canvas to that particular assignment. So it makes it a lot easier for a teacher to work in both platforms, okay? So again, in my Aeries gradebook, I went to assignments, I went to this particular assignment, and you can see it right here. I can show you that in a better way if you give me a second, okay? Let me go to Manage Gradebooks and go to Assignments. And you will see now that all of our assignments are going to show up over here, okay? And if I go to Edit, you will see that this came from Canvas right here, and it tells us where it came from, okay? So we can see that. Another thing that you will see is that once it syncs, grading is completed by default, visible to portal, and score visible to portable right here too. Do you want to mention anything about this, Teresa?
I think, Ricardo, can you bring it back up real quick?
Yes,
Sorry.
I can.
So just to clarify, because we received a lot of questions about this, visible to portal means that this actual assignment, as soon as it's posted, parents and students can see this in the portal right away. And score visible to portal means that the score is posted right away. So if for some reason you, I think it doesn't apply to us because we're syncing from Canvas, but if you weren't, I think if you're grading things manually, then you might want to wait to check those until you're done grading everything.
Correct. So let's go ahead. I was just trying to kill time because I wanted to see where we were.
Oh, thanks a lot. You could have at least warned me.
So notice how we were successful right now. I just pushed those grades. I pushed to assignment and it says completed, okay? So let's go ahead and go back to our gradebook over here. And let me go to dashboard. And we're going to go to class right here. And then we're doing this live. So hopefully it worked for us. So let's see. So let's go ahead and look, and let's look for that particular assignment. I think it was 25 and 27. And look at here, number 25. And our grades have been pushed directly from Canvas into Aeries. And we also had number 27. And our workbook, page 76, has been pushed. Always pushing. Little by little, you see those grades coming in here, okay? So you actually are able to see that right there, okay? So that's the way you will complete the syncing between the two. This was easy today. It wasn't always easy. We have run into many issues, and we're gonna cover some troubleshooting that can help you, okay? So the first one, and the most important one, I think, is that in the past, as teachers, especially in high school, when we had common prep, so like Spanish 1 for period 1 and period 4, okay, we used to love linking gradebooks because we will create the shell for that assignment for first period and we'll automatically put it in third period, and I didn't have to do double the work, okay? We have discovered that if you link gradebooks, when you sync the grades from Canvas, what happens is that it will bring the assignments and the scores for your first period, but it will not bring the scores for the next period. It will bring the assignment names, the points, the shell, but it will not bring the points. So something that you do want to do as best practice is that you do not want to link your gradebooks, okay? That's something that you do not want to do. A lot of our teachers, and just to show you, are using what we call cross-listing in Canvas. Basically, they're working out of one course, and they're working with period 1, period 3, and period 5 for Spanish 1, and they're cross-listing their courses to make it easier for them, okay? You can cross-list your courses, and your grade sync will still work. Just to give an example, this particular teacher over here has period 2 and period 4. And then as you saw, the grades went from Canvas into Aeries without any issues, okay? So that's something that you should remember, okay? Do not, again, do not link gradebooks in Aeries, okay? And you are able to cross-list. And I know Teresa wants to mention how you can do one or the other, but no both. Now, both, Teresa, you want to mention how that goes? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, that's a little bit confusing, but just like what Ricardo said, there's no reason to do it in both. One, it won't work if you do it in both, but if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. You just have to do it in one. So if you cross list them in Canvas, then and you're pushing it into Aeries, then there's really no reason to link them in Aeries. You're not saving time anymore at that point. But we have had teachers tell us that they don't cross list in Canvas, but they do link in Aeries, and the push still works. I'm not entirely sure why that would make things easier, but just wanted to say that it did work for them. We haven't actually seen it work, so our suggestion is to follow this way: cross list in Canvas and not link in Aeries. But we can't say it doesn't work the other way around. Some have said it that it does.
So today we were lucky. I want to say lucky because the grades actually went in without any issues, but you might have that time when it doesn't work and you might see some problems. And when you went to that, and I'll show you what that looked like a second ago, okay? I'm going to go to settings just so you see it, because this is the way you can solve most issues, okay? I'm going to go to settings, and now I'm going to go to my course navigation here, and I'm going to bring something called GradeSync app to my course navigation so I can see it, okay? So when I go in here, I'm going to save it. What I want you to see is that now GradeSync is showing on my course navigation. I can come in here and I will see the last time that I did my syncing and if it was successful or not, okay? So it's over here. It is not set by default on your course navigation. You have to bring it up just like I did by going to settings, going to navigation and bringing it up. But let's say that you would have gotten, I think it's a big red eye over here and it says incomplete or something like that, okay? We were seeing lots of those at the beginning. Notice now that we're not seeing many of those, okay? You will be able to click on that and it will tell you the reason why it didn't send, okay? So you will see the errors. A lot of the times it will be because categories and areas didn't match groups in Canvas. It could be because you were trying to send things from that imported category that I showed you a second ago, and we'll show you how you can move that around. But if you see an error, most of the errors are fixed by what we call remastering your grade passback. And the way you do that, again, you go to GradeSync, just like I did. You come up here, and once you are on that screen, you can go to Settings. And over here, you can remaster grade passback. I'll give you an example where our syncing wouldn't work. Our teacher started teaching in Canvas, and all of a sudden they decided that they wanted to cross-list their classes. And they did it 2 weeks after they had already created assignments and they had graded stuff, and all of a sudden they cross-list. This wouldn't work because the grades between Canvas and Aeries now are all confused. So by coming in here and doing remaster grade passback, it will refresh that connection between the two and you will be able to be successful. This usually fixes everything, okay? The remaster grade passback. Another thing that I wanted to mention just as a best practice, I'm going to go to assignments and I wanted to show you in here what I was talking about before, that group that is called imported assignments. So you might get an error saying we couldn't find this category in Aeries, okay? That could be because you might have an assignment here that you have not pushed up to the correct group yet. So what you can do is just over here, it says if it's not published, just make sure that it's not published and it's not syncing. What do I mean by that? Let me show you my participation category. You see how this little check mark over here says sync to SIS? So if I unclick that, that basically tells Canvas I'm not ready to sync it yet. Okay, so I can kind of click it back so it's ready. So what our teachers have done as a best practice is they've come in here, they've gone to our grading terms because we haven't set up, they've gone to fall, and what they've done is they've gone to the right and they've unchecked all of this sync to SIS. And by doing this, when you sync your grades, you will no longer see any of the assignments that were being synced during fall. They will disappear. So again, what they do is they come in here and they basically uncheck SIS sync, and by doing that, you no longer see them when you are sending your grades from one to the other. Is there anything else that I missed, Teresa?
No, I think you covered pretty much everything. We do have a few questions. Are you finished with your session? Can I go on?
Go ahead, sure.
Okay, so I tried to answer some, but for some reason the Padlet didn't save my answers, but it's best that you go over them anyways. One of them is, I have assignments in my imported assignments group. Do I have to move them? Can I still sync with them in there?
Yes, you can. And what I would recommend, let me go ahead and share my screen again. So what I would recommend is when you see that particular, let me go ahead and did I delete my imported assignments from here? Where'd they go? Okay, when you have them in here, if the assignment is published, this would have said imported assignments. All you got to do is go ahead and unclick the sync to SIS, and you will have you will not have any issues. And when you're ready to move it to the correct group, you can just move it up. But again, just make sure that under that one, the assignment is not syncing. Okay, at the time, it will still work. Correct.
Okay. Do I need to have an until date? Do I need to have one?
So we have discovered that if you not have an until date, let's say that you were on fall and you don't give it one, okay, Canvas doesn't know what to do with it because it doesn't know if it's going to belong on fall a gradebook in Aeries or spring. Okay, so we do recommend that you do have an end date to make sure that it goes into the correct gradebook in Aeries. Is there anything else you can say to that, Teresa?
Yes, so the sync will work, but yes, so your assignments will just be misplaced in Canvas. Yes, correct. I don't see the terms in my grades tab. I don't see terms in.
So yes, so that is something that we didn't have until we figured out that the trimester was coming to an end, and we met with our admin Canvas team, and we started working on setting up those grading terms. And I talked to Teresa talked about how it's important to maybe meet with the Canvas admin team and set that up before the school year. Correct. So you might not have it by default.
So, but here's my question. This came from our teachers too. So we did set it up. What if they can't see it? Because I think when you first go in, you don't even see. Can you show them where to look?
Oh, sure. Yes, definitely. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. Yes, that was actually a question. So when we go to grades, by default, these filters are not turned on, okay? Up here where I see spring and sections, I like to have all of my sections so I can grade the entire assignment, but I could select by periods. But if you go to view and you go to filters, you should have an option to select grading periods. Notice how it's going to go away right now when I unselect it, and I'm going to go ahead and bring it back by going to filters and grading periods, and now you should be able to see it, okay?
Okay, perfect. The other one. I think I saw one earlier here about emojis, but it disappeared. I'm not sure if somebody deleted.
We had teachers that have created assignment names with emojis, and the assignments have actually gone through. So we have seen that. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it with the categories and the groups, but with the assignments, we've seen them go through.
So if you change a grade, does it push all of the grades or just the ones that?
That's a great question. We had a teacher that wanted to change some grades just on Aeries, and she went and changed them manually. And then she had a student that turned in an assignment in Canvas. She graded it in Canvas, gave the points, and she wanted to just sync that particular grade. She did it, and the manually changed grades on Aeries did not change. So we did discover that it doesn't change it. It only changes that one particular assignment you change on Canvas.
So when I push my assignments, I keep getting repeats in Aeries. Lots of assignments, I think, repeated.
There's actually a reason for that. And let me go ahead and share my screen again. I can show you why that's going on, okay? So a lot of times we are very nice to our students, and then we wanna extend the due date for our students, right? So we come in here and we go to an assignment, and then just let me go to one assignment. You know what, let me use this particular one better. Let's go to an assignment in here. 1 second, please. And what we do as teachers is we come to the assignment, and then we go and edit the assignment. I'm sorry it's taking so long. So I'm just gonna go to this particular assignment. Let me click on it. Let me go ahead and edit the assignment. And what teachers do is that they come in here and they go edit the assignment and they want to basically give that student that extra time. And they come in here and they change the due date. Okay. And when they do that, Canvas and Aeries think that is a brand new assignment with a different due date. And basically it duplicates the assignment when it pushes into Aeries. What we recommend for you to do is that instead of changing anything on the assign, just come to the bottom, go add, and just assign it to that particular student with a different due date without changing anything on top. And that will not create the duplicates, okay?
That is all I saw. We had some aha moments setting up grading terms. So thank you. I think we drilled that in pretty well. And also thank you for sharing the grade sync tab as well. So, all right. So
you can see them.
I guess we have, I was hoping we wouldn't have enough time so I could keep it, but I guess we have to. So we have about 5 minutes left of our session. So before we go, I know there's a few of us here, but I know there might be several watching on the other end outside of Zoom. So we're going to play a quick game, and whoever the winner is going to get these prizes from our very generous Ricardo. Just kidding. I'll send one.
Aeries and Canvas, actually.
Aeries and Canvas. Aeries and Canvas. And so if you do win, please email us and so we can send these to you. But good luck.
So we have a quizzes that we want you to take part in. And the way you do the quizzes is that you can actually just go to joinmyquizzes.com. I'm going to just copy the link and see if I can put it on the chat. Okay. And let me see to make sure that it goes to everybody. And when you go in there, if you can just type 1A35A2, please. And if you can join, that would be great. And we'll wait to see if anyone joins. Okay, we have one person in there. And then let's go ahead, 2, very nice. And let's give it about 10 more seconds.
Ricardo, maybe like 15 more seconds.
Okay.
I know you're in a hurry, but it takes a while.
Sure. Let me know when, okay? And again, if you are not in the Zoom, but you are watching, you are welcome to join us. Again, it's joinmyquiz.com. And the join code is 1A35A2. 1A35A2. Should I go ahead and start, Teresa?
Sure.
So let's go ahead and start. And this should just, it's a review of what we covered today. And I think because we are going to run out of time, I'm going to end the game right now. All we did was use quizzes to set up a quick game. This is a great tool that you can use with your students. And the great thing about quizzes is that it gives you some really good reports where you can actually go through the questions and be able to go over them with your students. So I think our winner will look at it. And if you can send me on a private chat, your address, we'll get that to you. Thank you so much for playing.
So if the winner happens to not be in our Zoom right now, if you can display our email address one more time, Ricardo, so they could email us.
Sure.
And As he's doing that, we're just going to display that for our friends who are not with us in Zoom, but who are watching us elsewhere. And so thank you so much for coming to our session. Hopefully you learned much here. Feel free to approach us with any questions. We're all in this together. Again, thank you so much. And thank you for our team. We see you in here right now. Thank you, Dr. Fancher. Thank you, Christina, and the rest of our team. Thank you so much.
Our contact info is right here. It's also on remember the Canvas course page that we created for you. And just something else that we wanted to mention, our YouTube channel is here, where we have all those videos that cover most of the stuff we covered today, with other things in Canvas, in Aeries, and so on and so on. So our YouTube channel is full of videos that are very useful for you. But again, you have access to our Canvas resource page, and you'll be able to find our email right there.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your sessions. We really appreciate your time. Have a good night.
Thank you.